सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः। आप्यायन्तु चक्षुश्रोत्रमतो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च वाणी सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेह्य उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। In a couple of mantras, the nature of self-knowledge has been pointed out in such a way that a lot of people could even get discouraged. For it appears that the matter is extremely tricky. The moment you try to hold it, it slips through your fingers. This knowing Brahma is apparently next to impossible. For example, the last expression said, Vijnatam avijanatam. Only when you don't know it, you know it. So how to stay in a state when you or where you don't know it? It appears that any effort, any attempt, anything to be done by us defeats the purpose. And not to do anything, we are always afraid, could lead us to inertia. Every one of us believes that we are not all right. We need to do something to reach somewhere. But the mantras say, once you do something, it strengthens your ego. To see, to hear, to touch, to speak, to think, to analyze, everything seems to be shown as yet another trap. So this field of self-knowledge seems to be a very dangerous minefield. Wherever you set your foot, a mine might blast and you are gone. So the mantras could give you a sense of being discouraged. Apparently, for that very reason, the next mantra here has a distinct flavor of everyone can get this, everyone can achieve self-knowledge. This is not for some exclusive people. This is not for some very rare few. This is very easy also. Most difficult, yes, but easiest also. So we wonder how it is easy. Therefore, this fourth mantra goes, in every thought, in every perception, in every cognition, as we call it, in every cognition or recognition, in every activity of mind, the self, the truth of the pure light of consciousness is right away there, without having to go even one step anywhere else. We read the fourth mantra, Pratibodha viditam matam Amrutatvam hi vindate Atmana vindate viryam Vidyaya vindate mrutam Pratibodha viditam matam Amrutatvam hi vindate Atmana vindate viryam Vidyaya vindate mrutam. If you take a look at the word by word meanings in the handbook or the little book in your hands, Swami Sarvanandaji has added a word yasya, and again he has added in brackets saha. The Upanishad language many times tends to be so crisp, couple of words would not be spelt out, for there is the basis of the context, there is the scenario of the Guru and Shishya talking to each other, and possibly sometimes such a background is clear going by an earlier chapter in the original Veda. So we straight away take up the Upanishad portion and we might miss out some contextual information. That is where the commentators, the great acharyas, Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, Vallabha and so many others, would supply to us the missing links. The essential teaching is not missed out, that is given, but some contextual information, where and what. Like you could have a photograph in your hand, but you don't know where this was taken, when this was taken. So, yasya is added, somebody who intuits this truth in and through every act of knowing. Prati means every. Bodha is knowledge. In every knowledge, good or bad, happy or sad, we use this in this morning's meditation. Pratibodha viditam matam. In every wave there is water. In every bubble there is water. In every thought as it rises, our attention might be to the boundaries or the outline of the thought. Looking at the outline, we may label it, this is a thought of an elephant, this is a thought of a man, this is a thought of sorrow, and here is a happy thought. So these are all paying attention to the outlines. Like in the background here, we say, here is a man and over there is a woman. When we see such sculpture on the wall, our eyes fall upon the shape. We are too eager to see the shape. Here is an elephant, here is a cow, here is a horse, and so on. But somebody whose attention is upon the material would everywhere say, oh, this is cement, or this is plaster of Paris, this is wood, material. Some people get so attached to material. Anything and everything you present before them, they have no eye for art or beauty. Give them a beautiful piece of sculpture, they will hold it in its hand and start tapping at the head and at the hand and at the leg. Looks like bronze, they say. If you took it to them with great eagerness for them to appreciate the beauty of the artist, the art there, you will be disappointed. Everywhere. Take them to even a temple, they will look at the floor, they will look at the wall, then they will come out with an estimate. If you build this temple at such time, at the present time, it would minimum cost. And they feel very proud also, their eyes will be sparkling with, you would not have thought, but I can tell you, and so on. No wonder, or we do not deny that acumen has its place. Sometimes we wish to find the cost estimate. But if you have taken your friend for a prayer, for a satsang, you have taken him or her to go sit there and meditate for a while, but he tells you how much it might cost to build that prayer hall, that would be such a anticlimax. You slip from the sublime to the ridiculous. All these things, very easy to comment in a lecture, but all of us keep doing this also. Because in real life, time and again, you and I lose what is called the presence of mind. We don't understand what others need at a given moment of time. We are in our own world. I once saw a small piece of, maybe it is part of a movie, somewhere in some house the television was on, I just saw. It was very humorous. Some of these well-known actors, Aishwarya and were all there, they were all young women there. And apparently the scenario was, a man was brought there, and it seemed that man was the eligible bachelor there. And the parents of these girls also very much wished to get their daughter married to this boy. Maybe he had returned from abroad, he is an IT professional, he has got some patents to his name, he has made a lot of money over there, some such scenario. But the humorous aspect of that little episode, I don't know its background or foreground, but that part I saw and I got the message. It was conveyed so beautifully. Aishwarya and others acted also so well in that piece. That fellow, yes, he may be an engineer, he may be an IT professional, he may have made money, he may have patents, maybe President Bush had called him and given him a medal or some certificate, whatever. But that fellow is there enjoying the attention given by the parents, importance given to him, but he doesn't even know how to conduct himself gracefully. He is eating like an animal, putting a whole thing into the mouth, and these girls show such displeasure, such disgust. They are not interested in him. Their parents are, because the parents see his wealth, his fame, this boy from our town, but he is settled here, settled there. He works for AT&T or, there are all these big names. IBM, he is up there now. In 3 years, he has more. The parents see some of these things. But the girls have their own eyes, you see. The girls are looking at him. He has probably not zipped his pants properly because he is an IT professional. To zip the pants, you should not expect him to zip up the pants properly, or some button may not be. Well, he is in high stuff, no ordinary things. And his monthly paycheck is in whatever, so many dollars and all that. So don't make an issue of these small things. That is how the parents would say. वो सब सीख लेगा, बीवी सीख के सिखाएगी उसको. Such is our society, you see. The parents lay emphasis on something. As the girls do not care. Parents sometimes in our Indian society lay emphasis on caste so much. Caste. There was a comic piece, cartoon. This Tamilian father is saying, I am very open-minded. I don't mind if my daughter marries anybody in the world as long as he is a Tamil Iyer. Let him be from Africa or Australia or anywhere. As long as he is a Tamil Iyer, this girl, my daughter, what is this? So in that little piece, the girls make a face. It's a nuisance. Why did people, our fathers or mothers brought this boy here? And then there is some dance, they sing derisively about him. Here comes the IT man. He does not know how to walk. He does not know how to dress. But he has found out some new machine. And in Hindi, I suppose, or in English. So such scenarios are part of our life. As I already said, every one of us lacks presence of mind. Vedanta is not about scholarship. Vedanta is more about presence of mind. You should be there at that moment. You are having won a big prize, a big trophy, you are having got some much coveted international recognition. It doesn't mean much in this science of the self-knowledge. If you have presence of mind, every moment you are aware of what is going on around, and more than scholarship with its glitter and glamour, if you have an inner silence about you, this conditioned, cruel society praises you and you just notice it, but inside you have the same silence as ever before. And this very mad society on another day throws brickbats at you, criticizing you left and right. Then also you understand them. Forgive them, O Lord, they know not what they are doing, you would say. As Swami Chinmayananda repeatedly advised people who cried before him, who sought private interview and said to him the troubles in their family life or in their business or wherever. Swamiji used to advise in a very nice one sentence, don't expect the world to understand you. You understand the world. Generally, it doesn't happen. We are so upset about, they don't understand this, my in-laws don't understand me, my son doesn't understand me. We have a long list of people who do not understand us and we are aggrieved on that. But if only we shift it to our trying to understand all these people, highlight that as that side. This is a common universal value. In the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi, you have that line, Lord, may I seek to understand rather than seeking to be understood. Seeking to be understood is very common. I want to be understood by others. But this prayer by Saint Francis of Assisi says, may I seek to understand. May I seek to love rather than seeking to be loved. May I forgive. May I pardon, and so on. These values come closer to the realization of the Vedanta than lot of Sanskrit knowledge or logic systems, Tarka Sangraha, and years and years people study the various disciplines. And after so many years of elaborate study, you find their ego does not go away. On the contrary, the ego gets fattened. Alas, somewhere they have missed the bus. The real message is not quantity but quality. It is not details, but it is the essence. Thus, this is a message of hope for us. Pratibodha viditam matam. In every thought of ours, in every state of mind of ours, the truth of Sat Chit is vibrantly present. What empowers me to cry and complain is also the truth of the self. What empowers me to smile and laugh is also the same truth of light of consciousness. So those of us who thus do not get swept away by the details of the state of mind, but quietly stay as the illumining principle. Therefore, time and again we emphasize patience, being able to watch, being able to inquire. Therefore, it is that no matter what the problem of the visitor was, Maharshi Ramana would say to the visitor, first find out who you are. You have lost money and are crying. He would ask, who has lost money? You would say, I have lost money. If somebody else were to ask, the visitor could get angry also. Don't you hear? I said I lost all my money. Maharshi says, tell me again, who lost? As though he is deaf. The visitor says, I lost. What is that I? See, there is I lost. If you go outward, how much you lost? Where did you lose? Was it because of somebody's fraud, or was it theft? Was it open attack in open daylight? Or was it a mistake on your part? These are outward details. We spend almost the whole of our life in going into outward details. And there is no end to it. Like if you pull a few leaves from a banyan tree and say, every day I will remove 10 or 12 leaves, very soon I will make the tree totally free of, devoid of leaves. You remove 10 or 12, next day 20 new leaves come out. So you need to take the axe if you want to put an end to that tree. I am not suggesting, but if you want to put an end to that tree, take the axe and put it at the base. Who am I inquiry is said to be of that kind. Mule kutaraha, they say in Sanskrit. Mule at the base, kutaraha. Put the axe to the base. So don't pick on all details. Don't indulge in arranging information. My brother-in-law's third sister insulted me today. with that, you see, there are 8 members in their family. With this third sister of the brother-in-law insulting me today, 7 out of the 8 have insulted me so far. One remains, that youngest girl. Who knows, tomorrow she will also do. This way we take pleasure in organizing the data, organizing information, where we lost, where we gained, where we won, where we lost, where we were honored, and so on. We are very fond of going down the memory lane, seeing the album, seeing all the certificates, and all the photography companies encourage us to do that. Olden days, those film companies. Now the digital age has come. All the digital camera companies, Canon and I'm not advertising for any company. So the companies, Canon and Sony, Yashica or any other, they say, enrich your life with memories. Buy our camera and take photographs and so on. They do say. And they are not wrong, that is, they are. But what memories? Which memories? That is where we need to be careful. Photographs of marriage, of so many ceremonies, are beautiful. The problem is not with photography, but this quality of brooding. See, this is the age-old topic. Is it wrong to remember the past? No. Remembering the past is good. But there is another word, brooding over the past. Brooding over the past. I take my marriage album, 20 years ago I married. I go through. And several places that other girl is there. Actually, I wanted to marry her. I don't know where she is. Must be mother of 3 at least. This is called brooding. Don't look at her, or look at her with bless her. Wherever you are, oh dear, be happy. But brooding means again wishing. Is it possible for me to go back 20 years and marry her instead of this one sleeping inside? Like that if you think, then your mind has, enslaved you. You have no control on your own mind. छोड़ते ही नहीं, 20 साल हो गए, अभी भी वो छोड़ते नहीं. Then you are enslaved by the mind. You have not been able to give it up. So, thought arises and we tend to go into details. Instead of that outward movement, as a thought arises, I could ask, who has this thought? This who am I inquiry goes extremely well with this mantra, Prati Bodha. In every thought, don't go for the outer ripples of details, but the inner common ground of I. When I am sad, I am sad. Catch that I. When I feel proud, I am proud. Catch that I. And so on. In a million varieties of states of mind, there is the I who is going through a certain sentiment, emotion, something like that. Catch that I and just ask, who am I? Then a door opens within us and the pure, indescribable I, undifferentiated I, the I that is absolutely the same in all. See, when you go to details, the I is different from person to person. When I go to my details in memories and so on, in the details I am depicted more and more specifically. Yes, I loved that girl, but the problem was she was from another caste. And nowadays youngsters are lucky, intercaste marriages are easier now. But 20 years ago, it was so difficult. Like this, I go to details. I am of that caste, this girl was of that caste, therefore marriage could not take place. See, more than I just offhand created these details. So, of what caste I was and am of what family, of what educational background, of what income group, these outer details pin you down more and more specifically. And this girl was of another caste, her family was another income group, and her educational background also was something my parents totally disapproved. So she is also pinned down in more and more specific details. To go outward means to go for specifics, and in specifics, no two people are one. But in the who am I inquiry, when you go inward, that is what we call nirvishishta aham. Aham is I. Nirvishishta means with no specific details. Vishishta, Vishesha, this refers to specific details. Nirvishishta or Nirvishesha aham. I, the pure I, that is I am, and I am aware. I am is Sat, I am aware is Chit. As Sat and Chit, we all are one and the same. That is why we say the pure self with a capital S is one only in the entire universe. The I of Adi Shankara, the I of you and me are one and the same. The pure I is one only. It was somewhere in 1983 that I read Swami Chinmayanandaji's Atma Bodha. And there it was said, the I in Shankaracharya and the I in you, in everybody, is one and the same. I was working in New Delhi those days. Which I? The conditioned I, of course. I said, my God, how can this be? If the I of Adi Shankaracharya, as Chinmayanandaji writes here, and the I in me are one and the same, then when Adi Shankaracharya got realized, I also should have suddenly got realized wherever I was. Because I is the same. Gurudev had written, Aham in him and Aham in us is the same. It was bugging me so much, bothering me so much. Then one Sunday morning I took Delhi DTC, right? Delhi city bus. In the crowd hanging, I went to Ring Road. Chinmaya Vidyalaya was there that time. Now they have moved it somewhere else in 83. And Brahmachari Radha Krishna was there. He later became Swami Jyotirmayananda. He was in yellow clothes. I said, there is a serious problem. I told him, why am I not realized when in 8th century Adi Shankaracharya realized the self? So Brahmachariji said, when he realized Brahman, why should you get realized? I said, your Guru has written, the Atma is one and the same. I mean, I didn't talk like that in a bajari way, but that was the essence of my doubt. The I is the same. So if the I is the same in you and me, if you take pineapple juice, I should also enjoy the same I. That was my doubt. I don't know how many of you sympathize with me. So then Brahmachari Radhakrishna ji very patiently explained to me. You see, the pure I in a criminal or in a saint, in Shankara or in Angulimala or in you, somebody of 10th century BC or 21st century AD, the pure I is one in the sense, space is one. Space is just one and buildings are many. So when we say Adi Shankaracharya realized Whatever erroneous structure was around there, that got eliminated. Nothing happens to the eye. The eye was, is and will be free. Space is untouched. Suppose you remove these walls, you will not be liberating space. It was only in your eyes that space as though was restricted. Really speaking, walls do not restrict space. On the contrary, the walls stand in space. These walls stand in space. They don't limit space. They don't bind, chain, they don't restrict, they don't confine space. A small room has less space, we say. A big room, a big hall like this has more space. This is all from a different angle of view. This is from a utilitarian point of view. In a small room, 20 people can sit. In a big hall like this, 200 people can sit. So we say this is bigger space. Then it's a language problem also. The word space is used in a different sense of how many can be accommodated within these walls. The space, the quality, what you call the essential element of space, essential element of space is the same. Just as I am presently reading a book, The Essence of Vedanta, by an Oxford University scholar, Hodgkinson. Very nice book. In that he touches on Vedanta very systematically. Then he says, whiteness in a small piece of cloth, the cloth is small, but whiteness you don't say, there is small whiteness here. A huge tall wall is painted white, there is also whiteness. So he uses some technical words, I don't remember. This is what comes in Tarka Sangraha and such books. So you are trained to distinguish. Tarka Sangraha, Bhasha Paricheda, Sangeeta was talking about these books. Some of these books give you a lot of extensive training to distinguish these technicalities. In a small piece of cloth or in a small marble which is white marble, the marble is small, but that smallness actually doesn't belong to whiteness, shuklatva, shuklata. Whiteness is by itself a different thing. Here it happens to be associated with a small marble. Somewhere else it's associated with a tall, wide, huge wall. Some third place with a piece of cloth. Just as whiteness has its own existence, you and I could consider pratibodha viditam matam. This existence awareness is not limited by the body being short, by the mind being dull, by the intellect being less educated, and whatever. Qualities of body, senses, mind, intellect do nothing to Sat-Chit. It was a day of disappointment for me. I was hoping Brahmachari Radhakrishna would say, yeah, we will complain to Chitragupta or whoever and set it right. So I came back, oh, that way, बड़ा धोखा है. शंकराचार्य के और हम सब के आत्मा एक ही है. उनको साक्षात्कार हुआ, हमको नहीं हुआ. तुरंत होना चाहिए था. उनको साक्षात्कार होते ही हमको भी होना चाहिए था. That was my wrong logic that day. So much disappointed, I came back to my little apartment in Mayur Vihar, sat, then felt that कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा अब. So next year I joined Chinmay Ashram in Mumbai. Such an injustice it was. One Atma in all, but here and there Ramana, Ramakrishna, Shankara, they realize, and you and I wonder, हम कहाँ हैं? What prevents us also from realizing? We are stuck with the details. They are all asking us, you also drop your attachment, drop your identification with the personality. We not only do not drop the identification, we pick, and even in small details we want to take mileage of even in small matters. In small issues also we want to establish seniority, we want to establish superiority, we want to, wherever, sometimes even reflected glory. One fellow says, I am a grand nephew of Swami Chinmayananji, you know that? So one takes pleasure in that delight. Another person says, I am not grand nephew, but I was classmate of his grand nephew. This is called reflected glory. My classmate and we played kabaddi together. He is a grand nephew of Swami Chinmayananji, So what are you trying to say by saying all this? That I am a more worthy person. I should be getting realization before. Or the reflected glory. You and I are always into it. This is called extensions of identification. Reflected glory. If some great man is being photographed and somehow you just stand next to him, next day the picture comes, that great man and you also. Then you buy 20 copies of the newspaper and distribute it to people. देख लीजिए, अब समझ में आया ना हम कौन हैं? आप कौन हैं? रमण महर्षि would ask you, कौन हो आप? ये तस्वीर देखो. I am standing next to Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and so on. So in so many laughable ways, we indulge in a description of who we are. And that is identification, indulging. See, it may be a fact that you stood next to Manmohan Singh, he had come to your university for a certain function, you were a volunteer there, and at some moment you had to go up on the stage. Security guards examined you 7 times before going up, which you tolerated in great dignity. You went up. And that time a photograph was taken. You just were behind Dr. Manmohan Singh. And that picture came next day in Times of India. And Manmohan Singh is sleepy. You are all smiles. That is, I don't वो भी हो सकता है. कभी कभी the important person is in a function dozing off. But the unimportant person is posing for the photograph. It is a fact that you were there on the stage. You have not manipulated the picture. So if you say, hey, look, my picture has come, that's fine. That is not indulgence. You must be the judge. You look into yourself. As you derive pleasure, and even as a part of your mind says, come on, yaar, forget it. You say, yeah, actually I have attended Vedanta camps and I should not give importance to it. But thing is, such a thing doesn't happen every time. ये जिंदगी में एक बार हो सकता है, उसीलिए 20 कॉपी खरीदेंगे क्या? थोड़ा फुर्सत भी है. Is it not? I am giving simple examples, but this is so with all our complex relationships, our enmities, our age-old enmities, our attachments, our everything, political activities. Nobody is happy in this world because of this indulgence. If I may give a last example, I heard about a very well-known professor who has now retired and come back to India. He was a professor of reputation in USA. I too admired him because now he is doing some social service in the country, in our country. I said, wow, he was head of department of electrical engineering in such and such university in USA, and अब भारत लौट के सेवा कर रहे हैं बड़े महान आदमी हैं. But I came to know through another person just recently who had been his student in America. In America, many Indians have gone and been, they are professors there, and thousands have go and they study their MS and advanced studies. So a student told me, "Oh, you are talking of that professor. I have no respect for him," he said. I said, "Why?" I read his resume, I read his biodata, Behind books that we write, there is always a nice biodata which we only edit and make it as beautiful. That is life, we do that. So I had seen on the back page of some of the books by that professor, wonderful things. Then the student said, "You don't know how much jealousy was there in the department between 2-3 Indian professors only. How one was trying to pull the other, how one was trying to spoil the prospects of the other. Itne pade likhe, so eminent, and in countries like England or America, if you are a teaching faculty, just a starting level, your life is very comfortable. You are head of department to conduct examination and evaluation, etc. You fly from coast to coast. You are, let us say, in New York, you fly to San Francisco, conduct examinations, and you are compensated, and on top of it you are given again very good checks. You come back, all that. But jealousy and anger, and another professor should not go above, and to such an extent that they even destroy the students of that other professor. This happens in America also, not just here and there. Because human mind is the same. Students, I have to evaluate the PhD thesis. I see who is the student, who is his guide. Then I see, oh, he is doing his thesis under Professor X, who is my enemy. And then I don't give proper credits. All such things have happened, do happen, and that is because instead of going inward and finding that unshakable peace, the human being, let him be a professor in an American university or somebody in a small job somewhere, it goes outward and picks on details and then goes more and more. My student was obstructed by him, now his student will come before me for evaluation. I will see how this fellow will get his thesis, his PhD. Bada dal dunga mai. In such things, if professors who are supposed to, teachers are supposed to be sattvic, they are devoted to knowledge, they are impartial, we think, but it's not so in this world. Bhishma and Drona, maybe Bhishma not so much, Drona had his vengeance, right? He wanted to. Dronacharya, most worshipable in those days. But he had to, whom did he want to kill? Huh? Ekalavya ka to angu, correct. Karan, Drishtadyumna. He wanted to kill Drishtadyumna. That is the long story. It was old vengeance. So all these are there. Long-standing enmities. And long-standing enmity is especially difficult to understand. How can someone like Dronacharya be in the grip of a long-standing enmity? He should be able to just put it aside. But no, there is the anger. So, all this we indulged in a rather long elaboration because the outward movement, let me summarize, is dangerous. We don't realize how dangerous it is. The outward movement of the mind, going into details, evaluating oneself, evaluating others, saying he is ahead, I am behind, she is doing so well and I am rotting here, and all these evaluations, they lead to more and more troubles. So if you and I are wise, the moment we are a bit disturbed about what life gave us, we have to follow Ramana Maharshi. Who is disturbed? I. Who am I? Even if we are tired, I sometimes advise, if you cannot sit in Padmasana or sit like this, never mind. Take a chair and sit. Just with backbone erect, that's all. Sit with a support, no problem. And put your hands maybe on your knee joints and let it be a fairly relaxed position, but don't move. Stay in the same posture for 10 minutes. If you can inquire, who am I? Inquire, who am I? If that is a bit abstract, just repeat, Sri Ram, Sri Ram, Sri Ram. Don't go outward into those details. She said that and then I said that and she should not have said that, but I could have said these details. Don't go. That weakens you more. That weakens you further. Just take God's name, Sri Ram, Sri Ram. And thank God, our mind is so weak. After 10 minutes you forget, what was it that was bothering me? Then you try, I want to worry about it now, but bhul gaye. Then you have only one worry. There was something bothering me very badly. आजकल memory loss है, याद ही नहीं आती. You should actually celebrate. Oh, चला गया वो भूत. That pishach went away. Celebrate. Sometimes it is like, that's why morning meditation also I think I used that analogy. Sometimes we come down the staircase to the ground floor of our big house, go to that corner room and that dustbin and then take that waste paper again. वो क्या लिखा था उसमें? अरे भैया सुबह आपने फेंक दिया था उस waste paper को. Don't pick that up again. But the restlessness is like that. Again you pick it up. This is the letter she wrote to me today. You had only torn it in the morning. I don't want to read it. But by afternoon you go and pick it up and again put it together, scotch tape karke. Now the decision, should I frame it and put it on the wall? Or kyun karte ho? What you have thrown away should not be picked up. Maharshi Ramana gave this analogy, it is from him. Don't pick things again from the waste basket. And this is an analogy for unnecessary thoughts of the world. If you have forgotten, so much the better. As we leave those unnecessary thoughts and position ourselves in the pure self, what is the pure self? Nothing we can describe. You just leave these false thoughts and be. There is nothing called pure self which you can identify. Here is the pure self, now I will sit there. And we have already said it cannot be objectified. The pure self cannot be objectified. That is why perhaps in Krishnamurti literature there is no mention of the Vedanta's pure self, and Krishnamurti abhorred it. If anybody said, but sir, in the negating of the self, don't we realize the true self? He used to get sometimes angry also. You have read that Vedanta, that is the problem. He used to say, you leave that Vedanta aside. That is why Vedantins are sometimes sore with Krishnamurti. Why is he so angry with our Atma? Our Atma means the Atma. The Atma talked of in the Upanishads. Our is a misleading pronoun, you see. Some people have this habit, our or my. Please help him, he is my friend. And please receive that is my parcel. We recommend by adding this my. In our town there was a lawyer, he used to help everybody. Somebody from our village is going to Bangalore, capital of Karnataka. He would phone up some MLA there. ये लड़का आ रहा है, वो हमारा लड़का है, उसको मदद करना. ये लड़की आ रही है, ये हमारी लड़की है, उसको मदद करना. Anybody from the village was हमारा लड़का, हमारी लड़की. In our hospital once one dead body came. And there was nobody to attend to it. So relatives said to this lawyer, रात 12 बजे था, आप जरा हेल्प करिए, उसका कुछ पोस्टमार्टम वगैरह, उसका संस्कार होना है ना अस्पताल में. So at night also this really happened. Our Vakil Saab, he called the chief medical officer of that government hospital, who was also sleeping at his home, and said, "वो यहाँ एक लाश आया है, वो हमारा लाश है." Sorry, I've forgotten further details. It's full of those. Please attend to it immediately. Anyway, so I came to know that one very senior Swamiji somewhere, he made a comment on Krishnamurti, that Krishnamurti is most wonderful, but I don't like his criticism of Vedanta, he said. Understandable, I sympathize with that Swamiji, but we have to understand Krishnamurti also. Why he dislikes this idea of the pure self. In olden days, the Buddha also did not like. Anybody said God, he just kept silent. Anybody talked of something permanent, the Buddha kept quiet. And the Buddha concerned himself with only exposing and negating the false I. Negate the falsehood, full stop. And in recent times, in the last century, J. Krishnamurti concerned himself with negating the false. And if Vedanta says, when you negate the false, which is like clouds going away, truth then shines forth. The sun shines when the clouds go away. Krishnamurti was uncomfortable with it. He said, don't bring Vedanta here. Don't bring your bookish knowledge. Have you negated the false in your life? He would corner the visitor or the questioner. Have you negated? Before even negating, you are taking pleasure in imagining some permanent self, something which never perishes, and in the verbal grandeur you enjoy. So that was his observation, that the students of Vedanta, rather than observing and watching their false identifications, too early, too prematurely, catch hold of a nice expression, aham brahmasmi, or asangoham, 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 punah punah, satchidananda swarupoham, ahamevaham avyayah. There are so many shlokas, mano buddhi ahankara is there, chidananda rupaha, shivoham, shivoham, and so on. In Krishnamurti's eyes, I am no judge of it, a lot of Vedanta students apparently would indulge in these descriptions of the pure self, which you will come upon only by negating the not self. Without even negating the not self, with having all the jealousy and pride and 100 problems, you are meditating every morning, Chidananda Rupaha, and so on. In his eyes, that is a contradiction, and that's not the right way to go about. His emphasis, I would put it this way with my limited knowledge, Krishnamurti's emphasis is on 100% elimination of the false by alert living. Then let us see whether anything remains, whether there some pure self emerges. When not self goes away, pure self. When the clouds go away, whether there is a sun shining. These examples have their own limitations, we don't know what is the truth. So his emphasis is you find out later. But till the last trace of false identification continues to raise its ugly head in your consciousness, be attentive, eliminate it. Goes very well with Ramana's analogy of a fort which is occupied by enemy soldiers. You want to reclaim it. So you go on attacking with your army until the last enemy soldier is removed from there. You cannot rest. You eliminate all the enemy soldiers and then claim the fort. Until the last terrorist, Ajmal Kasab, he is caught and carried away, taken away, put in prison, and you ensure there is nobody else now, you cannot say to guests or others, come on, now you use this is normal. So in all these examples you find the emphasis is on eliminating the false. And the Vedanta system says when the false is eliminated, truth shines forth. You are the truth. These things are said. On these things, masters like the Buddha in olden days and Krishnamurti in modern times are silent. And Krishnamurti at places expressed discomfort. He expressed discomfort. That is his sweet choice. He expressed discomfort at anybody reading any book also. Why do you read that book? Read the book of your life, he said. Instead of reading some printed material, you see how you are living, how you are treating somebody, how you are thinking about somebody. That itself is like a book, he said, which is very interesting, which appeals to many, and we are not here to find out which approach is right. For these great rishis, each of them is so great, and how can we judge them? Second part, Atmana Vindate Viryam. When we do not indulge and dissipate our energy in all the secondary thoughts, we hold the primary thought of I am so and sort it out, then from deep within us, Atmana, though it is third case in grammar, it is in the sense of fifth case, Atmanaha, from the self, from within. From within there arises Viryam, great strength. And this is not a matter of doing something, climbing the Mount Everest or crossing the Pacific. It's not about hard physical work, burning midnight oil, none of those. This is a matter of seeing rightly. Therefore, this seeing, this wisdom, this right understanding, being called Vidya here, Vidyaya Vindate Amritam. This section concludes with a clarion call to all of us to pursue this self-knowledge. We spend so much of time and energy on countless forms of knowledge in the world. We cross 7 seas to get an MBA from some Kellogg's or some Wharton or even some university in UK or USA, Australia or Russia, right? The Rishi asks here, are you ready to spend time and energy for knowing who you are, for this knowledge? If you were to find who you are, your life is fulfilled. And if you don't find who you are, no matter how many degrees you get from how many esteemed universities of the world, your life is a waste. Like the professor about whom I said, you are head of department of some wonderful subject in some wonderful university, but you are suffering from jealousy with respect to another professor. You are playing some clever games there, jeopardizing the future of those innocent students, setting bad example for those students who have come from India and China, from England and anywhere, and from local USA itself. What do those students learn from you? You have messed up your life so much in spite of your great knowledge of electrical or chemical or whatever, engineering and so on. So this is an appeal, it is a call. There is not much of spiritual message here, it is rather urging us to go for spiritual knowledge. Iha chedavedi tatasas satyamasti न चेदिहा वेदीन् महती विनष्टिः महती भूतेषु भूतेषु विचित्य धीराः प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकादमृता भवन्ति इह चेदवेदीदत सत्यमस्ति न चेदिहा वेदीन् महती विनष्टिः भूतेषु भूतेषु विचित्य धीराः प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकादमृता भवन्ति Chet means if. Iha chet avedit. If one realizes one's true nature, if one does away with all one's false identifications, then Satyam Asti. Here we may take the word Satyam as fulfillment. Satyam implies our life is blessed then. Our life is really worth living. It has served a great purpose. The purpose of human life really is not any of the 100 things we go after. All of them are actually faltu. Whether you get them or do not get them doesn't make much difference really. All of them seem to be important at a given point of time. Young boys during high school and so on get attached to sports. I was fond of cricket for a short time. When anybody did not come to play cricket in the evening, I used to say, because of such people like you, India is losing to Australia. Because I had attached. हम खेलते तो टेनिस बॉल के साथ, not even with the real ball. हमारे छोटे गांव में. But फिर भी there was such identification. And it evaporated after some time. Later on, if anybody was playing cricket, I would quote Bernard Shaw. Bernard Shaw said, cricket is a game played by 22 fools and watched by 22,000 fools. This is what Bernard Shaw said. So the same I at one time said, it's very important that all able-bodied men and women play cricket because Bharat khatre mein. Another time your interest evaporated, you say it is a fool's game. Chhod do, dur raho usse. So is the case with hundreds of our other activities. Whereas, as you say, really matlab ki baat, that is Atma Bodha. Avedit comes again from the root vid, to know. If you were to know who you are, or to use Buddha's or Krishnamurti's language, if you were to abandon everything that is false. Pursuit of pleasure is false, ambition is false, comparison is false, wanting to become somebody is false. So in Krishnamurti schools an attempt is made to free the children from ambition. I want to become this, I want to become that, and so on. The whole world is seeped in ambition. Thousands of schools advertise, our school produces engineers, doctors and blah blah. And Krishnamurti school stands apart. There the attempt is to undo. If a child says, मुझे डॉक्टर बनना है, a Krishnamurti school teacher asks, what do you understand better by becoming doctor? You know what it is to be a doctor. The child doesn't know actually. That is where the stupidity begins. The child has no idea. Mera chacha doctor hai. He has some fancy idea. Like Lord Shiva having snake, this chacha स्टेथोस्कोप उसको लगा के चलते हैं और शानदार है. Some fancy only. What does he know about being a doctor? What does he know about being an engineer? These are things, even when we are in final year of engineering, we don't have clear idea what engineering is about. I can vouch for that. Because then this whole world of industry is there, we have no idea. Because it is so vast, nobody knows what it is to be a doctor or engineer. But children are conditioned. So there is an attempt to uncondition. That is what Krishnamurti would call eliminating the false. Then, if a girl, if a boy finds biology interesting and has curiosity about diseases, has a natural eagerness to know, what is this fever? What is that ulcer? I want to know. And what is this AIDS? How does it happen? And what is the cure? Hey, I find this subject very fascinating and I want to be involved in handling diseases, in ensuring health. Then from the heart of the girl or the boy, this has come. And the philosophy of Krishnamurti is not at all against medicine or engineering, art or architecture. But on a very innocent boy or girl, you put ideas. If you become a doctor, that will go well with our family. Our family is, we have been doctors. Remember, your grandfather was doctor to Maharaja Sayaji Rao, Gaikwad. So you have to be doctor now. Why? Your great-grandfather treated the Maharaja. We have not met the Maharaja, whether he was happy about it or otherwise. But your great-grandfather was Maharaja's Vaidya, Astana Vaidya. Therefore, how can you think of becoming anything else? You create panic. And the child also, if he is lucky, he has some reasonable competence for it. Otherwise, he drags himself through medicine, suffers. It's such a tragedy, right? So an attempt is made, can we eliminate false simply because of some glamour, because of some publicity given to something. Olden days, IAS had a great glamour. Now no IAS officer wants their son to become IAS officer. Decent ones I am talking of. No decent IAS officers who at their time went for it out of certain sense of idealism. Now they don't want. They are all sending their children to other professions. This is glamour only. There is no truth in it. Is your child drawn to medicine out of seeing some truth in the field of medicine? Have you seen some truth in the field of medicine apart from money and status? Well, typically we are all not ready to face these questions. We say, I also have attended a lot of Vedanta, I have also heard Krishnamurti also. But today I have no time. Can we meet next Sunday and talk about this? And then that next Sunday never comes. You don't want to face disturbing real questions of life, but you spend time on unnecessary questions. So, to use the language of negation, which is a wonderful language indeed, in this life, if we live in such a way as to put aside all that is false, then that is a blessed life. And if we don't do that, mahati vinashtihi, what a great loss. Vinashtihi is loss, mahati, Very great is our loss. We have lived probably 70 or 80, 90 or even 100 years, but we haven't freed ourselves from false prestige, from unnecessary regrets, some useless comparison which is pulling down our spirits. Mahati vinashtihi. Therefore the wise among us, dhiraha. Dhiraha in the third line stands for wise people, not scholarly people. Scholarship is another dimension. A wise man or a wise woman may be scholarly, may not be scholarly. Scholarship many times is in terms of quantity, in terms of detail. Wisdom is in terms of essence. Essence makes you wise. Details make you a scholar. Knowing the essential, suppose you also know the details, then that is very nice. Then you will play an additional role of conveying, communicating and helping people overcome or solve their doubts and so on. It is like you are equipped with more tools. Scholarship is like an eminent tool, but wisdom is the basic, essential requirement. If you have scholarship but do not have wisdom, that tool will then be misused. You will misuse your scholarship, bhuktaye, natu muktaye. You will misuse your scholarship for self-aggrandizement, for projecting your own image more and more and just becoming famous and such things, without putting an end to your suffering and hardly putting an end to anybody's suffering. Neither you are free nor others are free, but scholar. Here goes the scholar, walking encyclopedia, but with his own heavy heart. I have written so many books, but still people don't recognize me. He's sad. What do you mean? Yeah, people in that country don't recognize me. Only 32 countries have honored me. That country has not honored me. Therefore I am having sleepless nights. The scholar is not free from greed. The scholar wants to build his own empire. He wants to extend the frontiers of his domain. He wants to have base everywhere. Like power-seeking countries want a military base in the Gulf, military base in Asia, military base in the Indian Ocean. They want to have everywhere their presence. Mere scholarship wants only presence everywhere. We should not judge anybody, for a scholar who is doing like that might be wise also. Shankaracharya and others also established Shankara Matha everywhere. So there we know he was wise primarily. Secondarily, he was scholarly also, and he could establish all these centers of studies. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha. When we are wise, we see everyone as they are. We see ourselves as we are. Bhuteshu bhuteshu. It means in everybody, in everyone. Vichitya. Vichitya means inquiring and finding the truth of the matter. Asmat lokat pretya. Ordinary meaning of this expression is after death, after dying and leaving this bhuloka. But Upanishads are not concerned so much with the clinical death, with the physical death, with leaving this world and going to Swarga or Naraka and such things. In Upanishads, going by the context, loka is a certain field of identification. At a given point of time, my field of identification could be power, pleasure, money, fame. From that field, pretya. I depart from that field, never to come back. No more do I give importance to power. If I happen to have power, that is incidental. Power or no power, pleasure or no pleasure, my emphasis is now something different. I take the road less travelled. These other roads, road of pleasure, road of power, the road of wealth, road of fame, name, road of scholarship, thousands are walking these roads. But there is another road which is less travelled. So that is the meaning of asmat lokat pretya. Leaving these roads, amrita bhavanti. One goes to that other road, and walking on that other road, which is very less travelled comparatively, one becomes immortal. To be conscious is to be not in time. One is not held by time. One touches the timeless in one's life. Rest of the Upanishad is a story, a little moral message and some preparatory guidance for this highest knowledge. The essential knowledge is covered in these two khandas which we have completed. The story you will see in tomorrow morning's class is a grosser representation of what was said before. If earlier it was said, speech cannot grasp the truth, eyes cannot see the truth, the story would take the presiding deity of speech, that is fire, presiding deities of various senses, and it would be said that these devatas could not know supreme truth. So the story personifies principles and personified devatas. One is a subtle language, more precise. Another is a gross language, less precise, but easier to understand. Even children would enjoy the story form. We shall see it tomorrow.